I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. The Bucks.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by Lee Goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little.
No, my camera's broke.
Howdy! How the hell we doing? Happy Taco Tuesday. And it's going to be a cool Tuesday here. Tampa Tones alongside the great Gene from Buck What You Heard. And we have a lot to talk about, Gene. And we got some new Bear draft selections as well. Winfield getting paid. Schedules leaking like crazy. I can't believe what the hell's going on here, Gene. But you had a beautiful show last Thursday, my friend. Really good stuff. I want to thank you for that and ask you how the hell you doing, brother. Long time no talk.
Man, life is good. You know, I'm happy. You know, we're getting closer to football season. What else could you add for us?
Yeah, nothing much more we can ask for except the official Bear choice of the Buck What You Heard and Buccateers podcast for the 2024 football season. And I think we're up to 4 or 5 now. We got them pouring in. We'll go over that and so much more here today. Going to be an exciting one. We might be joined by the great JC Allen as well, as I'm about to send him the invite link, and we'll see what could happen. But nonetheless, Gene, I guess we'll start with the big one, the big boy. Antoine Winfield Jr. returns, not returns, but gets extended. As Neil says, it's a people's champ. Yes, sir, it is, Neil. We appreciate you greatly. And if you guys know Neil, like he always says, hit the like button, subscribe today, and turn that notification bell on so you could be joining Gene or myself or any other of the great Buccateers whenever we do take the stand. And our great friend Tyler Sharp comments a couple of goats. You, sir, are a goat. Your memorabilia collection is sick. But, Gene, speaking of sick, Antoine Winfield Jr., his contract is huge. He's getting paid fat. Glad to see as a Bucs fan, and well-deserved, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, he's done nothing but perform since he's been with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. From day one, he's just been an integral part of this team. I mean, I don't know how the Bucs win a Super Bowl without his play on the field and, you know, when that Super Bowl run. And he's done nothing but just continue to get better and better. And it's just amazing that he was able to fall to the Buccaneers where he did.
Yeah, I still can't believe he fell to the Bucs. And Gene, I know we had a couple other great drafts with some legendary duos before, including the Sapp and Brooks draft. But man, Winfield and Wirfs, when it's all said and done, oh, that could be, right up there with Brooks and Sapp's draft in terms of Batman and Robin in one class. What say you?
Oh man, totally. I mean, how many people wouldn't like to have a Tristan Wirfs on your offensive line? How many people would just, kill to have a safety like Antoine Winfield Jr. on the field? And, you really get a better understanding of, what the fan bases think of your players when it's free agency. And there's an opportunity for them to leave Tampa and go somewhere else. You get a really good opportunity to see, just what the fan base, they may say one thing, but when it's all said and done, it's like, oh man, I wish if we had him on our team, it's going to make our team that much better. Kind of like how it was with Mike Evans. When you looked at Mike Evans, and Mike Evans could have potentially gone to the world champion Kansas City Chiefs, could have gone to the Bills. I saw people from the Jets. I saw the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, everybody had it in their mind that Mike Evans would make their team that much better, around free agency before, he was officially signed. So to me, what I see from other people, regardless of what they say, their actions speak otherwise. And I am so happy that he's here. We really need to appreciate him, just like Levante David and what Levante David has meant to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for as long as he has. and we have to appreciate him right now and any other time.
Very underrated as well.
Wow, the Sports Web. It looks like somebody's checking into the SmackDown Hotel this weekend.
Oh boy. Oh geez. It's time to put someone through a table. Well, maybe that's Peter Blake. Maybe that's Gene. Maybe it's someone else from the Sports Web. But nonetheless, glad to have the Sports Web join him. But Gene, I think you're exactly right. And think about it like this as well. Tristan Wirfs probably went into the draft as the most hyped tackle from that pool video.
Mhm.
He fell to the Bucs, and Jason Light was able to trade up and go get his guy. Some of the tackles taken in front of him include Jedrick Wills of Cleveland Browns, Mekhi Becton, who's already on his second team after the Jets, and Andrew Thomas. Now, Andrew Thomas is pretty good when he plays, but none of those guys are worth. So great job from the Bucs front office by landing the fourth tackle in the draft, but easily the best out of all.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm just happy. I can remember that draft. I remember so many people were losing their minds because the Bucs went up and actually got their offensive lineman, And this is what Jason Light's been doing. He's drafting in a vacuum, and he's getting a guy that he feels like will help this team. And you can't help but and appreciate that. Emily Campa, what's going on?
we got Emily in the house. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Hi, everybody. So glad I can catch the beginning of the pod. Go Bucks. Threw me some shade, Gene, coming season for our Go Bucks. Yeah, I'm very excited about this coming season, and we're going to continue covering it not only today, but all throughout the offseason on Buck What You Heard, Buccateers YouTube channels, Bucks Life LLC Facebook, and then you can catch a replay on Apple, Spotify, Google, so much more. As we got J-Lo in the house, I think he's somewhere. It looks like a Where's Waldo
undisclosed location.
Yeah, Where's Waldo book, maybe. We'll have to guess where the hell J-Lo. Where's J-Lo? Maybe he's with the other J-Lo. No, I'm just kidding. But J-Lo.
And real quick, Emily, I will get that T-shirt out to you before, probably within the next couple of weeks. I'll get it out to you.
And that's awesome stuff right there. There you go. Gene making it happen for the people, by the people. That's why we love Gene. Always making it happen. Speaking of love, J-Lo, you there? Are you in love with, something behind the scenes? What are you doing, brother? What's up?
Hey, fellas, what's going on? Nothing much. Just running a little late, what can I say? I'm a busy man today. Busy.
Are you talking to Jason Light right now, telling him, hey, my friend, schedule releases tomorrow. You got to hook the Buccateers up this,
I mean, I was trying to squeeze, a little info out of him. Be like, bro, can you give me a little something, bro? You scratch my back, I scratch yours, man. I might return the favor. The man deserved the boat parade.
Yeah, well, yeah, he does. And he said if we get everybody back this offseason, we'd have a boat parade. As Charlie H joins us, where's Waldo? Here it's where's Wally or something like that. Those unfamiliar, probably everybody unfamiliar, but Wally's World gas station in Pontiac, Illinois. I was on a bachelor party this weekend in St. Louis. I rode up there, just a quick 4-hour drive away. And man, that place is tremendous, but neither near her there. Now this weekend, I got another bachelor party in Houston, but nonetheless, I'll be in Mike Evans' neck of the woods. Maybe I'll see Mike Evans at an Astros game or something. You never know. He's in the Houston area a lot. Cleveland Me says Buccateers are back. Oh, hell yeah. J-Lo, thoughts on Winfield returning? Thoughts on the big man coming back to Tampa, being highest paid safety in the league, D-back in the league history, J-Lo?
I mean, I couldn't be more happy for the man. I knew it was coming. Eventually, they were going to get his contract extension going. Give him what he deserves. The man's a baller. He's one of our best defensemen on the team. Probably the best defender on the team, if you ask me. The guy just did everything he could to be great, becoming all-pro. The Pro Bowl's a joke, whatever. People want to buy Pit Buddha Baker, and I don't know who that guy is. And then I'm just happy for him. I think he's going to be here for the long haul. And now Tristan Wirfs Nets, check the list.
Wait, Yeah, well, we'll just put it like that. I'm not even gonna say what I was gonna say actually, but nothing bad. Don't worry. I was just gonna glorify what Lo was saying in some mincier words, but I'll let that pass. But Winfield is better than to me every safety in the league. It's not being biased. If you watch this man play, he does everything there is to ask of a safety. You could play him back. You could play him in the box. You could play him nickel. You could rush the passer with Winfield. He could get interceptions. He could force fumbles. He could recover fumbles. He could tackle solo. This man can do it all. And Gene, it's kind of cool because I remember Antoine Winfield, his dad, he was incredible, but Antoine Winfield Jr. always reminds me of a mix of not only his father, but Rondé Barber as well. And if you're mixed with those two, it's like being, one of those puppies that are worth like $10,000 being bred by two different top of the line puppies, because Winfield is such a special talent. And quite frankly, I don't know if we'll see another safety talent with his skill set. And there's a lot of good safeties around the league, and a lot of them do one or two things really good. But this guy does 30 things really good, in my opinion, and that's rare.
Yeah, honestly, if you think back about it right now, and I keep referring back to the body of work, when you look at the safety problem that we had as, Bucs fans, going back to 2009 when they had the first regime change when they moved on from John Gruden, you can never get any consistency in the safety position. Fans were always clamoring for a good safety. The fans were always clamoring for a better secondary, and we just did not see that. And now you have somebody that you can actually build a secondary around in Antoine Winfield Jr. And I'm just glad he's here. And he's just, again, consistency, availability, and just continuing to get better. And you think that he's gonna peak right here, and he just continues to get better. I mean, you got to go back to the play versus, was it the Lions? Was it the hit at no, it was the Panthers.
Carolina.
It was Carolina. The hit at the goal line. I mean, it didn't give up on the play. And, there are a lot of other players that we've had come through Tampa that would have given up on that play, but you saw what makes him special. He's always around the ball. If it's not him, it's Levante David, always around the ball. And it's just, it's important to acknowledge that. And, we have to appreciate him as long as he's here.
And I was at that game 2 seasons back when Winfield Jr., Bucs Colts, 3 seasons ago now, sheesh, time's flying, but Bucs Colts, Indianapolis, 2 juniors going at it, Michael Pittman Jr., Antoine Winfield Jr. Winfield goes up and gets it over Michael Pittman Jr., who's a hell of a wide receiver, very athletic, very tall, jumps very well, one of the better wide receivers in the game. Winfield mossed him, and that is something to not be heard of. Nobody does that to Michael Pittman, right? So the fact that Antoine Winfield makes these memorable plays, like Gene brought up against Carolina this year, getting us into the playoffs, like I brought up against Michael Pittman a couple of years back, it's unheard of. A shooter in the stash. What's up, our friends? Saying Ed Reed. Yeah, and I mean, how many safeties in between Ed Reed and Antoine Winfield Jr. have came in the league? It's a rarity. It's a very rare thing. So speaking of rare, we got some bear. We got some rare bear. We got some not so rare bear, but everything in between is being considered for the 2024 official Buck What You Heard and Buccateers bear, and it's thought of by the fans, and we're going to have it brought to you by the fans, and we hope a lot of you guys drink with us throughout the season. I think we have 5 beers so far. Isn't that right, Gene? We have 5 up for consideration.
We've got Land Shark, Wicked Weed, Blue Moon, Broken Skull, the Stone Cold Steve Austin beer, Sour Monkey, and Elysian Space Dust. Thank you, Olivia, for providing those. If you're checking us out, thank you so much for your introduction there. I'll definitely be going out and making sure I can get access to all those.
Yeah, so Gene, myself, J-Lo, and the rest of the Buccateers, whoever's joining us here on a weekly basis, you never know. We're like a 7 wolf pack, and obviously in Buck What You Heard as well. And if you guys missed last Thursday's show, Gene and J-Lo did a great job on Buck What You Heard and Buccateers. Go make sure to check it out. They were talking everything, so you're not going to get behind in the news. They were talking a lot of fun stuff beyond the world of football. So go make sure and check that out. Really good stuff. But Bear draft. We have 6 already. Wow, that list is growing. 6 really good ones. Pretty much what happens is you guys recommend the Bears. We get the Bears. We drink the Bears, and then we're going to leave it up to see which one is going to be our bear for the 2024 season. And through thick and through thin, through good and through bad, we'll be coming at you guys with those bears throughout. And oh, geez, speaking of bears, speaking of throughout, speaking of millions and tables and wrestling, we got the almighty JC Allen from Sports Illustrated joining us. This man is a busy man. He's all over the damn place. I could hardly keep up with him anymore. Speaking of where's Waldo, where the hell's JC? It's like 1 minute he's on this podcast, 1 minute he's on our podcast, 1 minute he's on the Pirate Parlay podcast. Then he's writing an article. Then he's doing this. Next thing you know, he's running for president of the United States. JC, before you run for president of the United States, it's an honor to have you here, my brother. How we do? Whoa. Wow, we got the big dog in the house, it looks like.
What's going on, guys? How we doing?
What's going on?
Just play a snippet. I don't want you guys to get copyright.
Yeah, before you know it, I'll have squad cars at my door. No, but we're just kidding here. But JC, great to have you, brother. Long time no talk. Head of the table is in the we got the final boss gene here. We got the head of the table here with JC. I gotta claim one. I'll be the bloodline brother that's still in New Japan. How about that? But JC, a lot of Bucs stuff to chop up. Thoughts on Winfield's contract, schedule leaks, and whatever the hell may else be on your mind, brother. Welcome in.
That boy got paid.
He did.
And quite deserving as well. I mean, Light's a man of his word. He said he's going to make him the highest paid safety in the league, but I think he went a step further. Made him the highest paid DB in the history of the league. So much deserved. There's not a blade of grass Winfield doesn't deserve. It's not doesn't defend. It's not a thing that he doesn't do at an elite level, whether that's playing the run, whether that's playing the back end, whether that's coming down with takeaways, turnovers via forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, interceptions, getting sacks, putting pressure on the quarterback, just affecting the game in every asset you can on defense. Definitely deserved it. Glad to see it happen for him. Glad for Bucs fans locked up for the next 4 years. And even so much of him as a player, just as a person, getting to know him since 2020 when he was drafted and being in the locker room and talking to him and everything. He's just a heck of a guy too. So I'm really happy for him getting that deal. And, there's only one more left until parades are happening on the water.
And that would be the worst you're referring to, I believe.
Yes, sir. Tristan Wirfs, and he'll reset the market for offensive tackle too here. So who just got paid? It wasn't Andrew Thomas.
Penei Sewell.
Penei Sewell. He'll top that contract for sure. And the Bucs will restructure it away. Right now he's due to make a little over $18 million on his 5th-year option, but they can bring that number down. I don't expect them to bring it down too much because now they do have around $10 million in cap space, and then they'll get another $6 million or so after June 1st from the Barrett post-June 1st designation, and then processing Jensen as a post-June 1 retirement. So they'll have plenty of cap space for operating costs. The draft picks are only going to cost them about $2.6 million against the cap this year. So they'll have plenty of money left over to kind of make any in-season moves or just carry that money over to next year, or maybe kind of look at another guy and, extend them to a deal or anything like that. Whatever they want to do, they'll have plenty of money left over to do it. So I would think Wirfs is next. I would expect, now because Antoine Winfield had the deadline, right? July 15th was the deadline to get franchise tag players under contract, or they play that the year out. Now that Winfield is taken care of, now I think they'll switch gears to Wirfs, so Jason Light can go on his vacation to Machu Picchu without having to worry about. I'm jealous, insanely jealous. Machu Picchu is on my bucket list, but he can go on vacation and not have to worry about any of the guys, and can have his own boat parade up in Rhode Island on Block Island when he's done.
Yeah, it was pretty remarkable, his story. When I believe they signed Evans, he was having a drink with the great Wayne Gretzky. I could only imagine if he's at Machu Picchu with worse news going down or something
When
like.
he was having a drink with Wayne Gretzky when he signed Evans, when he signed Opita, Bredesen, Tavier Thomas, Bryce, all the Wolford, all those guys. When he broke the Wolford signing, he was out on a boat with some of the staff. You know, so we had that press conference. I think it was either Baker or Mike, I forget which one. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be on a boat hopefully this weekend." And sure enough, he's out there making signings on a boat. Confirmed that later on via on Twitter. So yeah, I mean, he'll get it done no matter where he is. But I think he wants to get that one done too before he goes on vacation.
Hey, JC, I just wanted to say, and I know I've kind of typed it out, but I really want to tell you in person, I really appreciate you as a journalist in the Tampa Bay area. Uh, I like what you do. You've kind of gone away from the norm, and not to take anything away from your compatriots, but just what you've done is what's been needed for a long time in the Tampa Bay area. Actually listening to fans and asking the questions that fans are interested in rather than having to listen to an organization or something like that. And you are greatly appreciated. Well written articles, the questions in the press conferences, very well thought out, and not just mindless questions, but actually questions that actually mean something. So thank you for all your
I
hard.
appreciate it, Eugene. I do. It's a funny thing, and a little scoopage here. Half those questions I come up with, a good portion I go in and I have ideas of what I want to talk about, what I want to ask, whether I'm writing a story about it or whether I think it's going to be just something that fans are going to enjoy. But sometimes you'll hear it when I ask questions. I think I forget. We had the coaches and I asked a question and I kind of just formulated. I knew what I wanted to say, but not how to word it. And I kind of just formulated it as I was going. And it kind of ends up a little bit, you guys know I'm a rambler, a little run on, but because I was trying to figure out the right words for it. So some of those questions are right there on the spot. Some of them most of them, I'm going in there pre-planned. I want to ask about this or that. And sometimes there's, the way the conversation goes, whether that's when I'm having a player on the podcast or doing interviews at the podium with somebody or anything like that. It's just kind of like, okay, this is going this way. Well, let me kind of pivot on this question, or maybe there's a follow-up I want to get to. So it's a lot of fun. And I appreciate that too, man. I try to, again, I still remember what it was like to be a fan. Even though I'm more disjointed now, I think than I am when I first started out. Don't get me wrong; it's still surreal every time I walk into that building. But I want to give that experience for fans that they're looking for. That's
Yeah.
why I try to do so much. It's what I try to, with especially my Twitter page to make it like I call it a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
I'm slowly climbing in followers. Tell your friends, tell your family, because
Tell your exes, tell your wives.
yeah, right. Because I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. I really love what I'm doing. And I love interacting with all the fans and everybody else, and hopping on shows and pods,
Yeah.
pimping myself out, and having a great time.
But that's once you get that exposure, people can see for themselves that you are genuine, that it's grassroots. It's not contrived and self-centered questions, but it's actually interesting things that fans really care about or fans are interested in. So
All right. I appreciate that.
JC, we do have a question for you, and I know you spoke to it. Not to kind of twist the tide here, is we're all honored to always have you, and we're all big fans of your work. As Gene did a great job saying that, but our man Bud here says follow-up question or plea for JC. Please put the Godwin trade rumors to rest, and after that, we're gonna get into the schedule leaks here a little bit. If you got any details on that.
Yeah, so in the words of Macho Man Randy Savage and Spider-Man 1, you're going nowhere. I got you for one more season. Yeah, so I don't think he's he's not getting traded. I mean, first of all, there's just too much unreliable depth on the roster behind them. You really like what you saw in Trey Palmer. You want some more consistency behind the scenes. Raheem Jarrett made some strides, and he was hitting his groove before he got injured. And Jalen McMillan, and I can touch on minicamp, but even at minicamp, you could see why the Bucs love him and why I think he's going to be a great fit for this offense. Just the fluidity of his route running, change of direction. It's just so crisp out there. He makes it look easy. But those guys I don't think are ready to step up to be a number 2 role. So, I have been thinking about this. I posted it. Stank had something he wrote about it, but I have been kind of thinking about Godwin in his future. And, he's really established in Tampa. He's got obviously he just, bought a home here a few years ago. Him and Mariah, his wife, are really established in the community, especially with, the dog shelters and their Team Godwin Foundation, helping to find homes for stray animals and especially dogs. He just got the bag, $60 million over the last 3 years as a 3rd-round pick. I don't know how much and even they've said it, and they came out and said it. Mariah said it. They don't want to go anywhere where it's cold. And sure, you can kind of look around the landscape and say, okay, maybe this team could use a wide receiver. If it's in, like the Jags could probably use a wide receiver next year. Or, you kind of look around and maybe the Cowboys want someone to run with CeeDee Lamb. I don't think they want to go on the West Coast. Their family's up in Delaware. I think that's just kind of too far for them to travel. I see a real world of possibility. Again, if the Bucs want to retain him, him taking a pay cut, 2 years, $15 million, kind of, somewhere around that timeline, and, maybe incentive laden. But I think they could get him back for cheaper than what people would think. And we'll see how it all plays out. See the year he has, everything like that. There'll definitely be suitors for him. Obviously, there's a lot of noise about New England, but they've said they don't want to go to the cold weather. I don't blame them. I don't want to go back to the cold weather either.
Yeah.
And let's say it is 2 years, $30 million, $90 million plus, the $7 million that he made as a rookie. I mean, you're pushing $100 million career earnings. Obviously, you don't see all that, right? It's probably closer to, you're at 100, you're probably seeing 60 million of it after taxes and agent fees and all that stuff. Maybe even less than that, but still, that's a healthy bit of change to live your life out and pass on to generations. So, I'm starting to think that there's a realm of possibility where Godwin takes significantly less than he could get on the open market just to stay and be comfortable where he is.
And God bless his wife, who was able to talk to Canales and get him to be utilized in that offense where he was just being underutilized at times. And I appreciate her, and she probably doesn't know that enough or get to hear it enough, but she's greatly appreciated as well. I love Chris Godwin. I look at the number 1 and number 2, and there is quite a huge drop off going to your number 3 and below. So to me, I would love to see him stay here. He's one of those guys that I'm looking forward to this season, only because he was coming off of an injury. He's 100% healthy. He's coming into an offense that I think will definitely suit what his skill set is. And I expect to see big things from him. I mean, I would go so far as to say you could potentially, if they stay healthy, 2,000-yard receivers this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've seen it the last couple of years, right? Especially him working back in the slot where he's utilized, where he's been utilized the best in his career. You want to see those touchdown numbers go up a little bit, but I think he's going to be a huge part of this offense. They're going to be in 3 wide receiver sets, and the 1,000 yards for him doesn't seem like out of the realm of possibility at all. I mean, I think you look at a couple of years ago, he actually had more yards than Mike Evans. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him have more yards than Mike Evans in this offense next year. So
and in 4 of 7 seasons, he's had over 1,000 now. And JC, to your point, in 6 of 7, he's had over 840 yards altogether.
Right. So, he's going to be utilized a ton. Again, you go back to when we were talking to Liam Cohen when he was first hired. He likened his role to be that of Cooper Kupp in the Rams offense. Not that he is Cooper Kupp, but that's the kind of role he's going to play. And when healthy, Cooper Kupp, $1,000 yards is light work for him, So
Yeah,
I definitely think we'll see him eclipse that if he stays healthy. That's always a But barring injury, yeah, $1,000 seems like a layup.
$1,000. Let's go. And he also had that beast rushing touchdown last year. Remember, to seal a victory as well. Chris Godwin did no receptions that game, but did have a rushing touchdown late in the season. So Godwin, a man who could do many, many great things on, many, many dynamic play calls. I'm looking forward to see how Liam Cohen gets him leaked into the offense. Speaking of leak,
Yeah,
JC,
and
go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, and Liam Cohen, he preaches players, not plays. And you have Mike Evans, but if you look at the offense, your 1, 2, 3 is probably Mike, Godwin, and then you can maybe make an argument between Otten and Rashad. I'd go Rashad, but he's gonna find ways to get players the ball, and Godwin's one of those. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And, whether it's Otten or Rashad being third, McMillan's going to be a rookie. So I think people have to realize he probably will get really acclimated by week 9 or 10, as much rookie wide receiver mid-rounders do. They usually start the season a little slow, learning the offense, learning their role, learning the NFL playbook. So as much as I think people like McMillan, his time will come, and we'll see how he's able to move around on the field. Speaking of moving around on the field, JC, we know who the Bucs won't be moving around against week 1. A handful of teams have been leaked so far schedule-wise. We know tomorrow's a big day. A lot of people start planning road trips for the fall tomorrow. A lot of people start planning the next phase of their football journeys tomorrow, and we'll see where that goes. And speaking of where it goes, we know where the Bucs won't be going week 1. Chiefs are busy. Ravens are busy. Neither of those teams will be the Bucs opponents in week 1. Cleveland is out of the window, or I'm sorry, Dallas is out of the window as they play Cleveland. Eagles are out of the window as they're in Brazil. And Bucs will not be playing San Fran in week 1 as they are Monday Night Football against the Jets. So the dominoes are slowly falling, JC, but two hot and heavy rumored week 1 teams, or I don't know about rumored more so than clamoring by the fan base, Detroit and Carolina, they're still alive. Do you think it's one of those two at this point, or do you think you still see another window of opportunity for the week 1 Bucs?
So actually, it's funny. Me and River Wells over at Bucks Games, we just posted an article with our our home opener, season opener, how many prime times, Thursday night games, and bye week. And I actually think the Bucks are going to open on the road again this year for the 4th straight year since they hoisted the banner in 2001. I think it's the Saints. There's always a lot of intrigue between the Bucks and the Saints. It's a matchup you're going to get a lot of eyeballs on. As far as definitely. In the two areas, the two markets, whenever those two teams get together. And no, let's just be honest. Nobody wants to be out there week 1. Nobody wants to be out there week 2, but nobody wants to be out in Tampa Bay week 1. It's just too hot. So I think, just kind
It's
of
not our
get.
fault though.
No, not at all. But I think get them indoors week 1. Get them in with the Saints. It's a matchup that you can push. Even if it's a 1 o'clock game, that you're gonna have eyeballs on there. It's gonna be, pretty decent ratings on that game. And I think the Panthers are to answer that question. I think it's probably their first home game. That would make a lot of sense to me. Because there's a lot of intrigue on that too. Dave Canales coming back, and but I think they open on the road again, and I think that's against the Saints.
That would be interesting against the Saints for sure, and I would kind of like that matchup. Gene, do you have any thoughts or feelings or anything of that nature on who you might want to see week 1?
I think it's going to be a division rival. I would love to see Tampa versus Atlanta, just new quarterback, new coaching scheme, just to kind of fill them out and see what they've got. I think that would be kind of a Bucks versus Atlanta. I think that would be a good first game.
That was my Thursday night game. Whether it's away or if it's home, Emily, I think whether it's away or it's at home, I think Thursday night game is good, because I think you don't want to waste one of those primetime matchups, whether it's the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Eagles, the Niners, the Lions. But you don't want to put one of those games on a Thursday. But I think the Bucks versus the Falcons would still have a lot of intrigue. just because obviously the two NFC South teams, uh, new
Former head
quarterback and with
former
Cousins,
head coach coaching his old team.
former head coach coaching against the old team. New quarterback. The two teams that are talked most about winning the division possibly. I think that would get some eyeballs on it. And it wouldn't be. I don't think it'd be a clunker. But it would be a team that the nation looks around and be like, oh great, Bucks versus Falcons. That's a Thursday night matchup. And it always seems to be those Thursday night matchups. That's something that maybe Al Michaels probably won't get up for as much as he will that first Thursday game he's got with the Bills and the Dolphins.
Man, he's
Yeah,
got
I real quick. Ian McCool had made a statement about. He said, "All I can say is the Falcons should not be the favorite. It should be the Bucks." I want to say this: I am always happy when the Bucks are the underdogs. I'm always happy when the Bucks are not mentioned. Last year felt so good because everybody wrote off the Bucks. Everybody had the Bucks at the bottom of the division, and I mean everybody. And it just felt good. Here we are in the playoffs, and all these other uh, fans and their respective teams are watching the Bucks play in the postseason. It just feels good. So yeah, I'm good with it. I hope they keep us as underdogs as long as we have a team here, and I'm good with that. Let them do it. That's their choice. And hey, I'm right there with you. Just screenshot that bad boy and hold on to it to the end of the season, just like your general manager.
And really, the Bucks have been playing the underdog role on and off. 2020, we did have Brady, but we still really weren't picked to win the Super Bowl. But then the next couple of years, we were favorites. Last year, underdog again. I like hanging under the radar. J-Lo, quick thoughts on a Week 1 opponent. If you have anyone you might like out there, if you agree with anything we may have said. J-Lo, Earth to J-Lo. Well, we'll see if we could get J-Lo back. Speaking of getting him back, didn't get the big man back, but JC, with you being a Pats and Bucks guy a little bit, Rob Gronkowski, birthday today. I can't believe he's 35 already. Just thoughts on the career he had with both New England and Tampa. This guy was incredible, and I really feel bad for people who aren't going to get to watch Gronk play live. I know he was not the old Gronk with the Bucks, but I think we all saw in the Super Bowl that man could still ball when he was in Tampa.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite players of all time. I've gotten a chance to meet him prior to covering him for his last two seasons, and I'm actually going to meet him soon, coming up here in the next couple weeks. He's doing a charity event with Brian Ford and the Bucks, so I'll get to meet him again. He actually just opened up two restaurants here in Tampa, and was working the drive-through the other day. I think it was last Wednesday or Thursday.
Yes.
A lot of fans got to meet him too, but
What's
he's
it
just
called?
Green Lane. It's like a healthy drive-through option with like wraps and salads, and I think it's got acai bowls and stuff like that, smoothies and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, he's the greatest tight end of all time. You look at guys like um, Tony Gonzalez, incredible receiver, did incredible things with his time with Kansas City. Not so much in his later years with Atlanta. You look at a guy like Travis Kelce, who's just an incredible receiver for the Chiefs, and he's stacking up Super Bowls and accomplishments, accolades, and yardage and touchdowns. But what the tight end position is, and what it's supposed to be, is a combination between an offensive lineman, offensive tackle, and a wide receiver. You need to be able to block, pass block, run block. And you need to be able to go out there and be a mismatch and be a weapon in the passing game. And nobody, in my mind, defined both of those two roles like Gronkowski did. I think the only other guy who was a combination of both of those things and did it at an extremely high level was a guy like Mark Bavaro. And I don't think we've seen a tight end that can do both at such an elite level. Don't get me wrong. I think George Kittle's come along really well as a blocker. After really struggling there, he's probably one of the best tight ends in the league, dual tight end, I should say, that can do both. But nobody for me touches Gronk. He might not have all the numbers at the end of the day, but his impact on the game, his impact, as what a true tight end position, wide why tight end position is supposed to be, surpasses anything any of these other guys have ever done.
Man, I've got to jump in here. That is very well put. I think, you know, growing up, I got to see Kellen Winslow play, and he was like, outside of, you know, some of the other tight ends that I've seen, he was one of my favorites to watch just because of how fluid he was and how he moved down the field. But seeing Gronk in a Bucs uniform made me go back and look at some of the older games, and this guy could block like an offensive lineman. And you look at his footwork, you look at his hand placement. This guy was an incredible football player. Not to mention, he can catch the ball, take the ball out of a defender's hand, you know, to score a touchdown. He was, you know, he was just a freak. And here's a guy that was out of football. He was retired, came in to play with his friend Tom Brady. And once he got back into shape, he was unstoppable.
Yeah,
And
that stretch down the end of the season was remarkable.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. But just to see that, we know there are players that are not in our orbit, and so most of your casual fans, I just love football, so there are players that I look for. But he's one of those guys. He was not in my orbit, so I seen him play, and like, okay, yeah, he's good. But just to see him on a regular basis and see what he's done and see what he does, you know, as part of a 2-minute drill, for example. The guy is just instinctively a great player, and he helped our offensive line. He helped the passing game, and just blocking, just everything he did. He's just an overall football player, a talent, and
remarkably smart too. Like,
yes. Yeah, and
don't
he can read defenses like a quarterback.
Right. People don't understand. I think it's just, you know, he's got the party boy, and that was part of, you know, he was definitely a party guy, obviously. But, you know, and then it became part of his brand. But guy is super smart. You look at some of the investments he's made, some of the businesses he started. He's been very smart with his money. He knows when to jump on a good deal. The USAA commercials, the ice shaker that he created with his brother, that's flying off, the Fox gig that he does, you know, to make money. I think when I'm pretty sure Gronk didn't spend any of his money, any of his first contracts with the Patriots because he had so many endorsements. He just lived off the endorsement money.
Yep.
That's something that he didn't do. But yeah, his football IQ is off the charts too. He's just a genuinely good person. You know, sponsoring a team for the Boston Marathon to raise money for the children's cancer, down here in Tampa, and his playground initiative up in New England, where he's building playgrounds in poverty-ridden areas to give kids some fun. I think he's just all around, as far as football goes, the GOAT, and as far as just someone off the field, he's just he's a remarkable person, smart, kind, big-hearted.
Truly a great guy, a hard guy to hate, Rob Gronkowski. And speaking of hard guy to hate, we have the great JC Allen of Sports Illustrated Bucs Game Day joining us. And as Gene alluded to, Gronk, people forget he retired, came back in 2020, took him a while to get going. 2021, we were seeing vintage Gronk before our eyes again, before the injury occurred, and he was really never the same. But he still had a couple hella good years with the Bucs. Speaking of good stuff with the Bucs, they're doing a good job of getting their rookies signed. JC, could you give us an update on who they all have came to terms with thus far of their rookie class? And to me, it's going to be a good rookie class, but obviously time will tell.
Yeah, so their final 3 picks are locked up in Bucky Irving, Elijah Klein, and Devin Culp. So when you look at this class, and I've talked about it before, but this is like a vintage last couple of years light draft class, right? You look at what they prioritized was character, leadership, passion for football, and just good all-around stand-up guys. And when you look at what the Bucs have produced over the last 3 drafts, and even dabbling in undrafted free agency, they found like 15 starters in the last couple of drafts. And I think when you look at this class, you're already Graham Barton's going to be a starting center. And I'll just touch on a little mini camp stuff too for these draft picks as well. When you watched him at mini camp, took all the snaps at center, he took control of not only the offensive line, but also like breaking down the huddle when it's the entire group, before going to individual drills after warmups, and then the end of practice, breaking down the huddle there. Just a leader, a quick twitch ability on the inside, quick get off. You can see the athleticism jumps through the charts, and he's going to be a starting, if not center for them this year. Eventually, he'll be a starting center for the next 10, 12 years, as long as he plays for this Bucs team. And I think that's another starter right there. Chris Braswell, first thing that jumps out at you is his size. He looks like an edge rusher. But when you watch him, and again, they weren't pads. Again, this is, big disclaimer of everyone I talk about. There was no pads. So they're in shorts and t-shirts. Remember that. And this is the hype up season, right? We gotta pump the brakes a little bit, but this is the hype up season. But you could just see, even when he was doing drills on the pad, the power he possesses, and then when they were doing 11-on-11s, the speed to power, able to just kind of knock defenders back, and they're just playing a little backyard rough football right now. But he blew up Tanner Towler, one of their backup tight ends, who was on the practice squad last year, for a would-be sack. He would have had back-to-back sacks on each day if they were really going. And again, I think he'll be a starter by the end of the season. Tyke Smith, his first practice out there, comes away with an interception. Guy known for making plays in college, makes a play right off the bat there. And they utilized him in the nickel, utilized him at safety. You can see he's got good athleticism. He's not a world beater with burner speed, but there's another guy. He's going to compete with Christian Isian. And he could be a starter. So now you're talking about 3 starters right off the bat right there. Jalen McMillion's going to be a starter likely if he beats Trey Palmer out. If he doesn't beat him out initially, he's going to probably beat him out at some point. I think he will win that number 3 spot. I talked about just how fluid he is in and out of his routes, and just as a pass catcher. So you're looking at 4 starters right there out of your first 4 picks in the draft, just like to add to what you've already done in the last couple of years. So, and that's just the last 3 years, you're not even going back as far as the JTS draft. So I think when you look at what Light has done, Bucky Irving's going to play a big role on this offense. He's so smooth and so quick. And one of the biggest things that stood out for me was the decisiveness. When a running lane opened up, he hit it, Yeah. And they're only tagging guys down right now. They're not tackling, but, again, his ability to make quick, sudden movements to make the first guy miss was on display. He got tagged down by the second linebacker after busting through the hole. You could see that Elijah Klein could start. Like, he really could win that left guard position. I think Sewell Opita is the favorite right now because of his size. But the biggest thing that jumped out to me is when they were on the line, when Barton snapped the ball, and I talked about how quick his get off was. Elijah Klein was right there with him. Like, it wasn't that surprised me because he's not super athletic, but his ability to get up quick off the ball surprised me. So, could he win that guard position? Whether it's the left guard, right guard, whatever they do. Now you're talking about 5 starters in the draft class, and Devin Culp can be a weapon as a move tight end. When he gets a free release, and we saw it in minicamp, forget about it. Like, his size, his speed on a linebacker is a complete mismatch. So, a vintage light draft. We'll see what they get out on undrafted free agency. Don't expect as many as last year, but Judge Culpepper made a living in the backfield, had 2 would-be sacks in back-to-back days. Kalen DeLoach, you could see his speed. His speed was on display. So another masterclass draft class by Jason Light. Potentially pump the brakes. It's mini camp, but still.
Yeah, and that's always the thing. Like Gene and I say before the draft, well, we have hopes and prayers of guys we take, but you never know. It's like throwing darts at a board in theory. And speaking of throwing darts at a board, Cleveland Me says instead of fight forever, JC needs to report forever. And Pop's texting as well. Good firsthand info from JC on the rookies. Bucks always build through draft. Love it. Light is the man. A lot of good chat going on tonight. Ed Rabasa also joining in on Facebook. His schedule releases here tomorrow, and who else better to break it down with than all the rookies and so much more with the great JC Allen from Bucks Game Day, Pirate Parlay Podcast, all bunch of shenanigans, all good stuff. And WWE Monday Night Raw appearances coming soon from Jason. No, I'm kidding. But
I gotta catch up on Raw. I missed it last night, so no spoilers.
I won't spoil. No, I'm kidding. But
You don't even watch it. You watch AEW.
You could
I
watch
watch all of it.
Yeah, same with me.
I watch AEW. I watched all of it.
I don't watch AEW.
JC pokes fun because me and you are wrestling fans. JC, you know, he has a lot of learning to do in terms of
no, I just
the world of
boycott
He
it.
really does.
That Jagaloon over there. I can't. It's just a waste of talent over there. You know, we're having barbed wire cage matches now. Come on, what are we doing here? What is this, 12th grade? What are we? You know, 12 again? Come on.
That's the good stuff.
Hey, you know what? But it's a change. It's a change of pace from everything else. You don't want it all the same. That's why I watch TNA. That's why I watch. You know, I'll go to indie matches around locally. You know, just because I like wrestling, and there are people that are truly talented and they love what they do. And like yourself,
I think the talent at AEW, there's some very talented wrestlers there. I just don't think they're being utilized because their creative is garbage. I really do like Orange Cassidy. I think his whole shtick is great. I love Hook. I think Hook's got tremendous potential.
Well, let's be honest, though. Everyone just said WWE's creative was garbage in 2019, 2020, and then
that's because
they're right back on the water. So, you know, I'm tired of wrestling fans doubting that shit.
It just kind of comes in cycles, and I believe that AEW will be fine. I think
name the last good. When I was watching AEW, name the last good storyline they had. And
the one right now with the growing tree with Jericho and Big Bill. That's a really intriguing one.
Yeah. Oh, and you know the devil hole thing. I guess that was something, and that was taken apart because MJF got injured. But like besides that, like the storylines that get you hooked, they're in and they're over. You know.
Yeah.
Even the whole MJF versus the dude. Who's the dude? I was gonna call him Dana White, Jay White. You know, even that was kind of mediocre. You know, it wasn't great.
But again, you have to look at the grand scheme of things. The WWE has been around damn near 40 years. And you know, you've got an up and coming promotion. You know, they're going to have bumps in the road. They're still, what did they come out? 2019? Is that when AEW started?
Yep, 2019. They officially had their first promotion or show.
Yeah. So to me, it's gonna come. It's gonna take time. And again, it may not be a flavor for everybody, but I think eventually they'll get to where they want to.
Wait, wrestling's fake? It's scripted?
As Bucs Raise Bolt say, wrestling it's scripted. It sure is, and
no,
love it or
don't
hate
tell me that. Don't tell me that.
Totally ruined Christmas for me.
The kayfabe is ruined.
Finding out about the Easter Bunny and all that stuff. But speaking of Easter Bunny,
how did you find out about the Easter? I'm just hijacking. How did you guys find out about the Easter Bunny?
My aunt was drunk and told me. She was being mean. She was like, "Yeah, none of it's real." And I just kind of hurt my feelings for a few minutes, but I was fine after that, you know?
Yeah, I remember we'd put out stuff the night before and it would get eaten. Then one time it wasn't eaten and it was in the garbage right there in front of our face. And I'm like, well, Easter Bunny or Santa, I forget which one we caught, but we're like, well, they didn't come here. They just took the plate and they emptied it in the garbage. But how about you, JC?
So it was, I think I was in 3rd grade, and you know, my mom used to like hide Easter eggs and everything like that, and she was cleaning her room, and she had like one of those beds that had like pulled out on wheels or whatnot, and she pulled the bed out to clean behind the bed, and there were like the empty Easter egg cartridges with like a couple eggs left inside, and that's how I found out.
Oh man!
Not me. Thankfully, my son's in playing Xbox right now, Fortnite with his headphones on. Not me screaming in the living room. How did you guys find out about this?
Oh my!
Almost ruined that. Damn it! All right. Speaking of the Easter Bunny, go ahead, Tom.
Yes, Easter Bunny, Bad Bunny, Bugs Bunny, all sorts of bunnies. Let's get our final questions in for the great JCL and Gene. Any final words or thoughts for the great JC on Bad Bunny?
I know you kind of alluded to it, but I'm just wondering, is there anybody in the undrafted draft class that stuck out to you? Is there anybody that, I mean, I'm not saying that they're world beaters or anything. You're still early on, but somebody that, man, I got to keep an eye on this guy.
I'll give you 5 names real quick. I already mentioned Judge Culpepper. It's going to be very interesting to see how the Bucs decide to build their roster. Right now, I have them around 52 players. I think they're going to keep, and I'm looking at that 5th linebacker spot. I'm looking at that 6th defensive lineman spot, that 10th offensive lineman spot, and if they want to keep a QB3. Right now, I think the rest of the roster is kind of set with a couple battles to determine. But if they keep that 6th defensive lineman, Judge Culpepper is the guy to watch who could challenge Mike Green for that last spot. If they keep
just real quick, the second part to that is, are they missing Devin White right now? I'm
God no. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. So again, going back to that linebacker,
Bye, Felicia.
I think it's going to be a battle between Kalen DeLoach and JJ Russell. If they only keep 4, if they keep 5, I think Kalen DeLoach, could potentially win that, and they keep JJ Russell for his special teams prowess. As far as other guys who stood out, those are the 2 big undrafted free agents. But as far as some of the other guys who stood out, Tyreek Funderbunk, cornerback, I think he made a good impression. He had really great coverage down the left sideline, and Jalen McMillan. And then Chris McDonald had a great, high point breakup on a ball as well. And they really liked what they saw out of him. He's more of a nickel guy. So he'll challenge for that nickel spot. It's going to be a dogfight for that nickel spot with Izzy, Tyke Smith, Tavier Thomas, and McDonald working in. The last guy I'll give you is Ramon Jefferson. He's the guy that they just signed. He was in as a tryout player. He's got 4 years of experience working with Liam Cohen from his days all the way back in Maine. Actually played with Zion McCollum at Sam Houston State when they won the national championship, up over 1,000 yards that season. He didn't really do much last 2 years. He tore his ACL early on in 2022. And then last year he had a really lengthy recovery time for it. So only had I think 128 yards or something like that, 100 some odd yards on less than 30 carries. But I noticed the first day of minicamp, and I wrote about it in my observations, is that he was getting fed the ball a lot. Now he knows the system. There's some familiarity there with him. I don't think he'll crack the roster, but maybe he bumps a guy like Patrick Liard off the practice squad, and they keep him. So those are the 5 guys I'd kind of watch as we progress through training camp.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a great question from Gene, and I was going to ask something similar myself. J-Lo, I know you've been missing more than a Waldo character in a pop-up book this episode, but if you got any last words for the head of the table in the great JC Allen, feel free. Better late than never.
Yeah, my apologies to everyone, but
no apologies needed. Just shape up. We'll talk about it.
No, make him apologize. Make him grovel to come back on next week.
His
shut your mouth, JC. It's my turn to talk.
He's the head of the table. You're gonna talk to the head of the table like that.
Wow.
No, but seriously, on a serious note, I'm not sure if you guys talked about it or not. Do you feel that Cody Mock might move to the left guard spot to open up the right guard spot for Suapeta or the rookie Klein to battle it out? And I think Mock might benefit better because that's where he played at on the left side in college, right? Did he play left tackle?
Correct. Yeah. So I think the whole interior is wide open. I think the Bucs' goal is to get the best 5 on there. We know Mock and Barton are going to be 2 of those guys on that line, but whether Moak moves over to left guard or stays at right guard, that's going to be an interesting thing to see. And again, starting next week, they'll have mini camps going, so they'll be able to kind of see, who plays best where, who feels more comfortable where. They'll have 3 weeks of mini camps, and then they'll have the 3 straight days of OTAs that we'll be able to attend. So we'll get a better idea there. Last year, Canales and the offense kind of picked their offensive line. This is our offensive line. We're going to ride it all the way through. I think after talking to Carberry, there's going to be a little bit more shuffling going on just to see who's got the best. And then by that second, preseason game, they're going to know who's going to be their offensive line, and they're going to, ride out the rest of, that after that first preseason game, they'll ride out the rest of those 3 weeks of training camp, making sure these guys have continuity, but they'll also be there in the room, working together as well. So they'll have some continuity, and it really kind of depends, right, what they want to do, how they want to set up. Again, there's a world where Graham Barton's at guard and Hainsey is your starting center. I really truly believe that. If nobody else steps up. Now again, they have Sue Opeta kind of as the front runner for that guard spot, whether that's left or right, just because of his size and his experience. But could Elijah Klein challenge? I think he could challenge. Could Ben Bredeson come out of nowhere and challenge? Yes. Could Robert Hainsey, if he's going to work at guard, be the selection there? I know they want to get bigger and beefier up front, especially in the middle of that line. Barton does that for you. Moak has been in the gym, hitting the gym. He's bigger. He's already a little bit bigger. So whether he plays at right or left is going to be interesting for us to watch and see. And who plays where in that entire interior is going to be something we'll be monitoring throughout OTA's minicamp and certainly into training camp.
Yeah, great stuff there, JC. Good
Thank you,
question,
JC.
J-Lo.
Yeah,
And
man.
You're welcome.
JC, my last kind of shenanigans for you. Just give us a lowdown on what we could expect from you here in the near future, all your great work or anything you might have just released. Feel free to plug yourself. And schedule release. What time should we know everything tomorrow? I believe it's on NFL Network and ESPN2, but what time could people expect to be like, hey, we know the Bucs schedule once and for all?
Yeah, so I think things will start to leak out maybe as soon as tonight. You might get a game or two, and then tomorrow we might get a couple other games leaking out. So there's a strong chance we'll know a majority of the schedule before 8 o'clock. As soon as 8 o'clock hits, the Bucs will put out their thing. They're not going to wait until the show goes through and every team's releasing, because if not, they'll just get left behind. So I think once 8 o'clock hits, I think the Bucs social media team is going to put something out. It's gonna be easy to top last year's. I think that wasn't too. Or was it the year before? What was last year? I can't even remember because they weren't.
Schedule release last year was wasn't that the video when the Bucs did was that with Rondé? No, that was a uniform release for the creamsicles when Rondé.
That was a good creamsicles were great. I mean, that's what we needed last year for the schedule release.
Yeah, see,
the
ours
schedule
wasn't
release
really memorable last year.
It was bad last year. I think we all talked about how bad it was, and then we were like, "Oh, why didn't they do something like the creamsicles for their schedule release?" So,
oh yeah, Joey has it right. I think Jensen and Worse were looking at a computer, I believe. Worse, maybe.
oh yeah, they had it was I remember that. No, was it worse doing the I don't remember. It wasn't that great. Everyone's gonna have a tough time really topping what the Chargers have done. And the Tennessee Titans, I just watched the Tennessee Titan ones again when they went down to Broadway and had people guess like what teams were. And they're like the Red Stallions or Chester Cheeto for like the Jaguars, or like that one was hilarious. Always brings a smile to my face. So it looks like they're going to do like an artistic theme. Look like they had watercolor paints out there. So we'll see what they do, but definitely excited for all those videos. It's one thing that I remember the Falcons one year did Game of Thrones, and that was incredible. So you got to kind of start looking at pop culture, right? What was the biggest pop culture things this year so far? For the last year, because some teams will kind of try to rip that off. So
I bet you Chiefs do a Taylor Swift thing. I'm calling it now.
Yeah, that would be.
I think Atlanta will probably do like Drake or something like that.
Well, it's certainly gonna be interesting. So
Well, we know no one's doing P Diddy.
no, oh, you went there.
A little
You
bit.
went there. Yeah, Chargers did anime last year. It was sick.
Colts did food. That was pretty cool. They did like cities with food.
Yeah, that was good. I do remember that one. That one was good too. But yeah, final things. Like I said, I just put out my schedule predictions. I'll have. I put out the leaks, article, which is it Vikings? Apparently, it's not Vikings, but we know it's definitely the Dolphins and the Jags. That are going to be there. Kind of something that we've known for a while now since the owners' meeting. But just having that little leaked photo that the Bucs put out and then quickly deleted once they realized that they put something up there. They'll have joint practices. I think it's going to be in Jacksonville at home against Miami. What that third one is, if it's a home game, away game. I think it's probably be an away game because they had 2 home games last year. We'll see how that works out. But I think it's going to be Miami at home, Jacksonville. Jacksonville's going to be away. So, but got that out. Podcast out tomorrow. Pirate Parlay. I'm not sure what time yet. We'll go live. You guys will know. I'm trying to work on a few players to get on here. Just waiting for some callbacks. I was going to try to get J-Mac or Bucky on, but they're going to be out in LA for the rookie premiere. So I'm trying to now trying to pivot. They both
Deservingly so after getting ripped off by nobody last year. We have two.
they go for skill positions. So, they weren't going to pick up Payne Durham in the 5th round to go out there. So,
Well, they had otherwise. I know they go coming from a big card collector. They've had way lessers than Payne Durham and Trey Palmer in both rounds, drafted pick wise and player wise in years past. But neither near nor there. But last year, I remember some randoms made it over the likes of Trey Palmer and didn't really make too much sense to me.
Right, they didn't make too much noise either. So, but other than that,
Trey did.
No, Trey did. I'm saying other people didn't. That they invited.
Oh yeah. You ain't lying on that. I mean, man. Well, we could get into that, and you're not lying there.
Yeah, the Titans was so good. Again, other people are talking about it, but you can find all my work over at Bucs Game Day, Sports Illustrated. Check that out. We've got some amazing pieces. We're pumping out content like nobody else. I wish you guys could see the numbers we're doing, but let's just say it tops every other local media. We're getting that national audience, but we want that local media to come over and check out all of our stuff, because whether it's news that's happening, whether it's our own opinion pieces, whether it's analysis that we're getting out there, we're putting out some great stuff. So if you haven't checked out Bucs Game Day, add it to your rotation with the other local guys, because we're putting out amazing stuff every day, multiple 5 to 6 articles a day for your consumption. So definitely check it out over there. And my Twitter at JCLNFL. Like I said, I'm your one-stop shop for all Bucs, whether it's our content that we're putting out at Bucs Game Day, whether it's my own content, whether it's my podcast, whether it's podcast appearance like this, whether it's something the Bucs are putting out, PFF, other random stats and things that I find, or just kind of engaging with you guys doing Twitter Spaces or whatnot. You really don't need to go anywhere else on Twitter. You can, because there's a lot of great people, content creators and reporters and stuff. But I try to aggregate. We'll use that word. I try to aggregate as much as I can. So if you at least follow me, you can stay up to date with everything going on with the Bucs, your players, and your favorite team. So that's what I got going on. Other than that, I got a month off. Then football practice starts back up for my son. I think I'm coaching this year.
Oh wow!
So we'll see how that goes. I put in the application, so we'll see if they want me. I don't know. It's kind of that. I was that rambunctious football dad last year, so they might be like, yeah, we might. Maybe next year. We'll see how I behave in the fall. We'll bring it back next year. I wouldn't be surprised, but if they do, I told them, O-line, D-line, put me on the trenches, and I'll coach the shit out of these boys. So
that's beautiful to see. I got put on the commissioner's watch list when I coached baseball one year. That was a lot of fun, needing the commissioner to come to all my games, making sure I'm on my best behavior. And
I believe it,
dude. Yeah, well. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. I did end up getting tossed from a game, and that was a fun time, actually. Getting tossed is awesome, I will say. And I actually got a 6-pack of beer out of it from the kid's dad for sticking up for the young man. So, it leads to good things. Gene, any last words for JC before we head out of here on this Taco Tuesday?
No, he's just I'm just so happy that he's here. Breath of fresh air, as far as journalism goes. Keep doing your thing, man. You're destined for bigger things.
I hope so. It's a dog-eat-dog world out here, and it's tough to get that full-time gig. I mean, you look at all the guys at NFL Network, ESPN getting laid off, and I'll do it. I'll do what I keep doing what I do for y'all out there, and just stay tuned. We'll see what happens.
It's much appreciated. That's the great JC Allen, and he's always around the Buccateers. He's always around Bucs Game Day. He has his own podcast out there. Bucs Game Day has their own podcast, and so much more. And we have more coming Thursday night. Time to be announced, but the Buccateers and Buck What You Heard podcast will be back on Thursday night as well. It's been a great, great show. I'm running late to plan a bachelor party, but hey, bachelor parties could wait. That's all okay. I'd much rather.
What do you need? You got some strippers, some beer, some liquor, some nose clamps, and you're good.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. I was on a bachelor party last weekend in St. Louis. Now I got one this weekend in Houston. I'm all over the damn place. So
don't stop. The luxury of not having kids, right?
Luxury of not having kids, and
Stay here. Stay as long as you can. For the love of God.
Yeah, maybe we'll see if there's a Junior Tones out there somewhere that I don't know of. Cover your ears, but we'll wait for more to come.
He's just joking, Olivia. Don't listen to him.
Yeah, exactly, Olive. We love you, and thanks for the beer recommendation. No, Olivia. She. I'm the only one who really calls her Olive.
Okay. I was like, damn, did I get it wrong?
No,
got me all messed up, Tones. It's the music.
Yeah, you should hear the third name. No, I'm kidding.
You're in trouble now. Strike two, Tones.
Boy.
Quit while you're ahead. Shut it down before you're in the doghouse.
Yeah, fire the damn cannons and go Bucs. I love you guys. JC Allen from Sports Illustrated. Gene from Buck What You Heard. J-Lo was harder to find than Waldo tonight, but he still made an appearance. And Gene is the people's champ. Look at that belt. Am I Popeye? Well, does it look like I eat spinach? Probably not so much. So we'll take it easy.
He eats something else.
Oh, well, hey, this show got rated R quickly. Speaking of rated R, both of you guys invited to Cleve and me next week. We're recording Tuesday or Wednesday night. We'll see what night we are recording, but both
Tuesday
you gents are invited to talk wrestling. So let us know what way works for you guys.
Yeah,
All right.
Tuesday should be good. Preferably between 6:30 and 8, and I'll be there.
Awesome. Let's aim for Tuesday then, and we'll do Buccateers a different day. Gene, make sure you hatch out Tuesday as well. Join JC, myself, Joey, and the guys on Cleve and me. That would be awesome.
You already know.
All right. Until Thursday, Buccateers will be back. Thanks again, JC Allen. Thank you, Gene. Thank you, J-Lo. Fire the damn cannons. Go Bucs.
We're the champions of the world.
Oh, you do it better than me. Adios, everybody. Thanks again. Game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. I played with Gronk and anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. The Bug.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little.
No, my camera's broke.